Hello everyone, today we have a blast from the past that has been re-envisioned to meet today's kind of meta and today's cards that we have available, and that is a Kitty Pryde Shuri Taskmaster shell, and it does some really phenomenal things. Right now the sample size is relatively low on the public deck trackers, but the results are absolutely amazing. We're looking at about a 65% win rate with almost one average cube gained per game over a sample size of 58 games, and that is in the top 10% of Infinite, and I think the power that the deck holds definitely scales down outside of that top 10%. And so the main idea here is that Thena allows you to scale more easily with your Nocturne, with your Sunspot, and with your Thena. It allows you to more easily discount your She-Hulk. Even if you don't go full send on that discount, you're going to be able to more easily get her down within playable range. You can play Shuri a little bit easier. You can curve it out into that Kitty Pryde. You have armor to protect those one costs that you have floating around. Hope Summers gives you so much additional energy that your Sunspot can go absolutely crazy. Thena can absolutely pop off as well. We have Nebula as a fantastic way to push a card into one location, and then you can start focusing on the other ones because the opponent is going to have to deal with the Nebula to make sure that she doesn't scale too dramatically. We have Nocturne as that kind of flex tool. You could use like an Elsa Bloodstone instead, but I do like that movable power that Nocturne provides and having the ability to potentially turn off a limbo location or just turn off a bad location for you. We have Red Hulk that we can scale into on 5 with the Hope Summers drop. We have Taskmaster that gets discounted by the Ravonna, and of course Thena as well, making sure that if you have Thena, you're going to be able to continue to scale her every single turn. Ends up putting a large amount of power in one lane. You have your Sunspot that's absorbing energy in another, and then you can do an explosive last turn play with like a Shuri, She-Hulk, and then maybe a Taskmaster, a Shuri, She-Hulk, and then just one additional card. Or you just let your Thena scale that one additional time. You're putting 24, 25 power on the board, and you've been developing the entire game. So it's not one that hinges all on that last turn power play. You're going to be putting good pressure on the board the entire game. And so in my sample size, I had just around a 60% win rate, which does come close to what the deck trackers show. And overall, I think this is in a fantastic spot with our current state in the meta. Yes, it's scary to play any deck without a tech card, but with how much this can scale, typically you can be pressuring enough of the lanes that it's not going to take too much to be able to swing those back in your favor. And so overall, absolute fantastic list to run. We are going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. The Rock Slide, so the double disruption there, and then the Coal Obsidian is actually really big. What an explosive turn. They only have one card left in their hand, so we're definitely going with the bigger card over to the right. And with Elysium, this is a crazy game for our first one with this deck. We have Kitty Pryde to the left, we have She-Hulk to the right, and both of them are free. And so Sunspot is still going to scale by 7, which is insane. Kitty Pryde is going to allow us to make sure we offset this Widow's Kiss. Thena is going to get gigantic. She-Hulk Taskmaster. So She-Hulk would be 10, Taskmaster would be 10. And then we'd get an extra 3, so it'd be 23 power.
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
Versus 6, 10, and 7. And so 17, 23. So it's the same. It just allows you to position more of your power to the right. And I think because we have such a commanding lead here, we want to be able to make sure we beat the Hawk. And so I think more power to the right is going to be better than the left. That's what we're going to focus on. And Maurice Mond, thank you so much for the Prime sub. That pushes us up to 24 for the day. I appreciate the support and appreciate having you here. But next up we have C Money, the one alphabet above D Money. We're going to go ahead and throw Nebula, I think, into maybe Grand Central. Then we do have Ravonna, which will give us a cheaper Thena. And so the scaling is not going to be as dramatic as it was on game 1. But I still think it is one that can do a lot of good things. And so I would have just lost the Havoc challenge. And yeah, it's not far away from G Money either. But we'd have to play Havoc if we were doing the challenge. So let's go Ravonna into mid. We then have Thena and then maybe Howard. Yeah, that Ravonna hand is crazy. We have the Iron Man, we have the Thena, the Havoc, And so Havoc's probably going to get played on the last turn of the game. I actually think we're going to snap into it. Let's go ahead and Ravona. Next turn, we'll make sure that Thena starts scaling. Nebula is decent in the left lane because they don't want to fill too many cards here with Grand Central pulling one in. And so unless they have like a Kitty Pryde or that scaling piece, and it's an Arsham deck, and they have Electro down, so 1 card per turn unless they have a way to destroy that left lane. We have armor in our deck. I kind of think we do something like double drop in the right lane and single drop Thena in mid. We'll save Havoc. I don't think we need more than 2. We do have Iron Man to enable that right lane a little bit further. So I think that's what we're going to settle on. And they can only do 1 card, so they're going to have to look for maybe a way to destroy this one, or they just have 1 card per turn that they can play. And so She-Hulk comes in. I think we go ahead and... we could drop Iron Man, but there's always a chance that Cersei pulls in this left lane unless we play it into mid on the next turn. Maybe we do that. It's either that or we play Iron Man mid and allow that to scale. So Cersei, we no longer have to worry about that messing up the left lane. So that is a little bit of a relief. We could always go something like Havoc, absorb with the rest. She-Hulk would be 2. We could potentially do Shuri plus She-Hulk on the last turn. Or we play it out this turn and allow Thena to scale. That gives us a better chance of drawing into a better card to the left. So let's do that. We are going to only have 5 energy going to the last turn. And we'll see how the last of it plays out. Agatha is a little bit scary. We get She-Hulk to the left, which is a good enabler for that Iron Man enabled lane. Beta Ray Bill comes down to the left. I think we just drop Red Hulk mid, and probably... oh, we can't drop Red Hulk mid. I think we just drop Cersei mid and just call it quality at that point. Because the left is big, the right is big. They can only drop 1 card because of Electro. So I think that is where we settle. And Ayo, it's Breezy. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate having you here. Appreciate the support. That bumps us to 25 for the day, which is so much support. We've been streaming pretty consistently, and that sub number continues to grow, getting closer and closer to that sub goal where we would just call in and let our boss know that we're quitting immediately. I'm probably not going to call in on stream. I know that was a joke because Dara did it, but I'm probably not going to call in on stream. What's going on with Dara? Wait. As in, like, him not streaming, or what we're talking about? So whenever he had his subathon, whenever he hit that sub goal to go full-time consecration, he called on stream, and quit his job. At least that's what we were referring to. His real boss probably doesn't mind. Yeah, and if they kind of know that it's coming, so if they knew that he was creating content, then I could see, being able to do something. But my boss, I don't think she knows that I create content or that I even play Marvel Snap, and so it would definitely be like a blind side. So we have Sunspot. We do have we have Hope Summers to help us get some additional energy. We have our Taskmaster line. Subterranean comes in, which is a little unfortunate. But let's go ahead and spread our power into all 3 lanes for now. Hercules gets a little bit scary very, very quickly. We have to hope that maybe they don't draw into many of their movement cards or movement engines with the Subterranea, because we did draw into one of our rocks already. This play will allow us to do Hulk on 5 into a Taskmaster to copy it on 6. So maybe it goes Red Hulk to the right, Taskmaster in mid, and we allow Sunspot to scale. But with the Vulture, they do have Ghost Spider, unfortunately. What's your job? I'm in data analytics. And so I look at a bunch of numbers and metrics and then format them in like easy to read and decipher ways. So we can go Red Hulk here. And so I put them into like dashboards and easy to consume formats so that the leaders can quickly look at them and know like the stance of where we are on whatever it is that we're measuring. So let's go Red Hulk in the right lane. We have Taskmaster. The Doctor Strange pulling the Vulture back over is super scary. It pushes it back into mid though. And so we're okay with that. As long as it doesn't end up in the right lane, we're okay. They could have, I guess, Absorbing Man, which would be crazy over here. But let's go Taskmaster to the left. We're going to absorb the rest in the Sunspot and then hope that the 20 power in the right lane is enough. So 3 cards. They have the Sage coming down. The Dagger into the Human Torch is not going to be enough. Taskmaster is going to copy the 13 with the Scale from Sunspot. That's going to push us just over that Sage range. And we're going to be able to grab the 2. And this deck is definitely popping off a little bit better for me than our other one. The other one was a fun combo deck, but I think I would leave that one for Conquest, at least for now. So if full time is ever in our capacity, then it's going to be great. But we do have Nebula. I thought about playing it into the right lane, but I kind of want to bait them into playing cards and trying to beat us in Hala into just like dropping the armor on them. So let's go Ravonna into, I think, armor plus Kitty Pryde over into the left after that. And they are running an Arisham deck, so they have the capacity to do some bigger plays earlier than us. Ooh, Jean Grey. You said I saw your late night stream. I was like, dang, you putting in work. Yeah, whenever the drops came about, it was definitely something that I intentionally wanted to see, like what those numbers would look like, what we could pull, and if I enjoyed playing those long hours, and I do. Like, I would like to be able to do a 24-hour at some point. And so if we ever do a subathon, that may be one of the goals, is to launch into like a 24-hour stream the next time the drops launch. Because I think it'd be like a cool thing to do at least once. Maybe not all the time, but at least once. Achillian will rid armor. Ooh. Never punished. Lothria, you were right. That was absolutely the right call. But we got very, very fortunate that it did not punish us in any way, shape, or form. We got it right back. Oof. All right. So we could, I think we go ahead and play the Thena, allow her to scale. We're going to use armor in the left lane. After that, it's like a Kitty Pryde plus maybe a Sunspot in Lechugia. So we're scaling in every single lane. And I think, honestly, I think that's enough to snap into. Yeah, we got the Kitty as well. Like, getting that duo was really unlikely, but we definitely got unpunished, or not punished. It was not the correct play for Hope Summers, but we got very fortunate with it. And so the double drop in the left lane, make sure that they win that location, but the armor is going to protect it. And so I think they'll be capped out there. And so all we have to do is beat 14 power in the left. They have 2 of our cards. And so it could be some like low ball stuff like Nebula, Kitty Pryde. But it looks like they got our Red Hulk, which is a little bit scarier. And then we draw our Red Hulk as well. So let's go Kitty Pryde. We could go Red Hulk, but let's go Kitty Pryde into, we'll do Sunspot into the right lane. That allows Thena to scale. That allows us to get some power into the Lechugia. Next turn is most likely going to be Red Hulk plus Kitty Pryde. Unless we drew something like She-Hulk, we may do She-Hulk mid to allow Sunspot to scale more on the right. But it just depends. And we're pretty much never going to use all of our energy, so their Red Hulk gets massive very quickly. No luck, pure skill. All very much calculated. All right, so we can go... Kitty Pryde alone in the left doesn't win it for us. It just ties us. So we would have to do like the Nocturne and then Kitty Pryde elsewhere. I wouldn't want to, or I guess we'd go Red Hulk and then Kitty Pryde elsewhere. Because I wouldn't want to full send this one. So next up we have Rocket. The first location is Pet Mansion. We have our Thena. We have Hope Summers to get some extra scaling. We have our Kitty Pryde to allow Thena to just absolutely pop off. So I almost want to snap into it, but with this being an Arsham deck, we're going to play it a little bit slower. Let's go Thena into the left lane. Next turn's probably just Hope Summers. Into the next turn being like Nocturne plus Kitty Pryde. We get extra energy there, and we can use that Nocturne as that mobile resource. So the wave coming in, I know that they were popular. I know that somebody was popularizing a Galactus Arisham deck. I'm not sure who it was that ran it first, but that thing is floating around. We don't have initiative, so we can't stop it anyways. So we might as well do something like Hope Summers mid in case it's Galactus. We know it has to be there. Leech is a little bit unfortunate too. Do you have the list? No, but it was on X somewhere. I'm sure I could find it. See if I can find it for you guys. And so the Leech is unfortunate, but it's also not the end of the world either. I think we go ahead and go Kitty Pryde here. Sunspot scaling dramatically in the big house could be a game changer. We also have She-Hulk that's going to get really cheap because of our ability to scale Hope Summers here. So I almost still want to snap into it, but we're gonna play it a bit more passively. So Chaos Pro did something with Arisham and Galactus. I'm not sure if that's the one that I was seeing kind of pop around. So maybe I have to dig a little bit further, but it is something that people are now like playing around with and toying around with. That Blink Galactus deck, is that the one that's been kind of being popularized? Oh, you said, oh, you play the Shuri Taskmaster deck? Yeah, I've been having a decent amount of success with it on ladder so far. I really like the extra pieces that this one uses to like ramp up like the Ravonna engine, help with Thena. It kind of helps have a... You said Dara made a video on Shuri Galactus Gwynpool. That may be Iron Fisted the Shuri out of the way. Wild. That man is wild. So we can go do this. That's going to give us a 1-cost She-Hulk. We have 1-cost Kitty Pryde that we could use both into mid next turn, potentially. Either that or we throw a bigger card in the left lane. We allow Sunspot to continue scaling. It's always scary to play a deck with no tech cards. I mean, it is, but this one can put a lot of like, kind of flexible enough power that it's usually not a huge detriment. Like this game, I mean, we might get just outscaled by like that Blink bringing out the blob, but it still does a pretty sizable amount of impact each and every game. Like if we were confident in our right lane ability in something like Nocturne, we could do Shuri into She-Hulk. That would give us 21, 24 extra power in the left lane. And we still scale 2 more in the right. I think we're going to do that. We're going to actually, unless we think we need the extra 1 in the right lane, Kitty Pryde is going to be more in the left lane than letting Thena scale. So we're going to go ahead and send that. It may not be, ooh, with the big house, it is most definitely not enough. And so let's see what they drop. The Shadow King, super unfortunate. And then Shanna coming down, depending on what drops in mid. Howard the Duck, I don't think is going to do it. Kitty Pryde to the left, not going to do it. We should win right. And I think we're going to be able to outscale the left with that massive 20 power She-Hulk coming in. The Shadow King was big, but good thing we weren't. Yeah, the throne room was clutch. Luckily, we don't need the Sunspot. Otherwise, without the Shadow King, we would have won it. But Nocturne came in big with the throne room. We'll take those absolutely calculated victories where we can. He was always one of my favorite cards early in the game, and he kind of got power crept out of relevancy for a little while. And I think maybe this helps him come back, being able to have that scaling power reduction in like the She-Hulk. The Hope Summers giving you additional units and energy to be able to scale it. And so Misty Knight comes down in New York. It is a high Evo build. We're gonna go ahead and drop the Sunspot into the right lane. That way we have 2 pieces that are scaling. Killmonger is not super common right now. I said, man, I remember a time when everyone and their grandma just put Sunspot in any deck. He was your way to be able to build bad decks so that you didn't have to worry about your curve. And not necessarily bad decks, but it gave you a way to not have to worry about that energy curve, which was so useful, especially like earlier on in the game when decks couldn't do absolutely crazy things. He said mine as well. I still don't have a variant for him, and got hundreds of boosters. I have a couple hundred boosters. If we're talking about Sunspot, I remember I think I still have a couple hundred, if not maybe more. It might be like 1,000 or more. I had a load of Sunspot boosters for a very long time, and then we settled on this one. I liked the shimmer on it because it does kind of match the splash of the water coming off of that particular variant. So I like doing, maybe it's Armor Kitty Pryde here. We could always go Armor Kitty Pryde Ravona. Let's go ahead and lock that in. We can always shift some stuff over. Since Sunspot was your first ink. Yeah, the first ink split, I remember, I think Chavez was my first, it was my first gold, but I don't remember what my first ink was. But Chavez is definitely a solid, or Sunspot is definitely a solid one. We do get the discounted Taskmaster. Let's go ahead and play Kitty Pryde here. She-Hulk's going to be free next turn, so we can have at least 18 power and then some soak with Sunspot or the Kitty Pryde coming down. You said you slotted Elsa for Nocturne, but definitely buying Nocturne with tokens. Yeah, Nocturne's a fun one. It's fairly flexible. Like, it doesn't feel required, but it does help out with that locational RNG. And so the extra turn here actually gives us quite a bit of extra scalability in Sunspot. I think we go Thena, Kitty Pryde. She-Hulk will go back to 1, but I think that's okay. Our Sunspot's going to scale huge here. I think we see a skip into whatever they try to flood next turn. And I think we can probably outpace what they're wanting to do. And so I'm expecting like either an evolved Hulk plus a She-Hulk or Infinite plus She-Hulk. And I think we can potentially outscale it depending on where they place those resources. So something like She-Hulk here, Taskmaster would give us an extra 9, 10, 11, 12 in mid, pushing us up to 26. If they did 20 in Limbo with an Infinite, it wouldn't win. That's true. We forego the Thena scaling. They have to compete for all 3 lanes. Because a lot of times I think they're only going to drop 2. So if they drop Infinite here, we should be able to win this one. If they drop, I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna let that rip. It scales Sunspot a little bit less so, but at least we have where they'll have to play cards into Oscorp Tower. And so 1 to the left, 1 to the right. Let's see if the right lane is big enough. If that's the She-Hulk, if that's the Infinite to the right and She-Hulk to the left. No, just Abomination. And Cyclops. Ooh, what an unfortunate last turn. Turn 7 and they didn't have something bigger. Yeah, definitely a weak one to stay on. I mean, we'll take those, but that doesn't feel like we earned that victory. It didn't feel like they had their ideal line. So we're going to go ahead and go Kitty Pryde to the left. We have Ravona. Hope Summers is also fantastic in this kind of shell. I'm really enjoying this version of like the Shuri Taskmaster stuff. Mindscape, I think, is a little bit tough for us. But if we go Ravona, we may be able to get most of our cards played out before turn 6. They could also rip it away with the Hawk from Snowguard. Such a good hand. It is such a good hand with the Ravona coming down. Like, we can get some big things going, and it kind of helps us scale into playing all of our cards in case Mindscape actually triggers. And so we could enable Thena this turn if we weren't worried about Mindscape. I think we would drop Thena this turn. But since we are kind of worried about it, I think it becomes like a Sunspot, Kitty Pryde, Thena next turn. Into seeing what it looks like from there. And then Black Smoke. He said, not having X, but good luck to everyone who's participating in the giveaway. Oh, well, I appreciate it, Black Smoke. And so Polaris pulls our Ravona out of mid, and then Killmonger is wild to save us from getting the rock in Eternity range. Good thing we didn't drop like our Sunspot Nebula. We dodged an X-Mansion bullet there, for sure. Let's go something like Nebula. I think we'll go Thena. Sunspot, Kitty Pryde. Next turn, we could play maybe just Kitty Pryde and whatever we draw. That will allow She-Hulk to... Ooh, wait. No, yeah, we can play She-Hulk and Kitty Pryde, even if she's not reduced. We have so much extra energy from the Hope Summers. And so they'll get one card off of us, and I think we're going to get quite a bit from them. It is an Arisham deck. They do have the Hawk on their end, so we have to look out for that as a potential line, but I don't think we play as if they're going to turn it off. I think we have to play as if they're not, and then we kind of adjust if they don't. So let's go Kitty Pryde. I'm going to play the She-Hulk here, allow Thena to scale. Sunspot's not going to get super big because we are playing a full-cost She-Hulk. But if they switch this around, they will get our arm. Okay, so they do disable it. They do get our armor, and that's it. We're going to keep our Sunspot, or our Kitty Pryde. And then Secret Warrior, welcome in. Let's get these drops. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. So the armor goes to them. No. Oh, the armor doesn't go to them. It would have had they not turned it off. So we have something like maybe Red Hulk to Kitty Pryde. Doesn't scale this lane much. Depending on if they move their Nocturne around. I don't think it's a super strong finish, but it's the finish that we're going to go with. The Shang-Chi is kind of scary here, maybe. So Shang-Chi comes in. We have the 4-power Kitty Pryde. We're actually going to outscale them. The 4-power Kitty Pryde, the Thena that's going to scale after the game ends. We're going to be able to win this middle location and the right and find a way to claw our way back to the winning line. Even if it wasn't super clean or super straightforward, we found a way to win. And those are the decks that I like to run.